We're excited to be joined on WTMJ 2022 by Acting Mayor Cavalier Johnson. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. You come through the primary with the most votes the other night. Congratulations on moving on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I know an issue that's very important to you and you've spoken a lot about is reckless driving. I got to tell you, I drive down Capitol Drive coming to work every single day, and it makes me nervous. And in recent years, more nervous than it ever did in the past. Are there specific things that you propose to try to get this under control?
Yes, I did release a comprehensive plan around reckless driving. It's called STAND for Safer Streets. It's an acronym I can go through if you like. If you do, then,
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, so STAND is an acronym. The S is for safer street design. The T for traffic enforcement, which I believe is very important. The A is for accountability for those folks that do break our traffic laws and endanger not just themselves but the greater public safety. The N is for neighborhood engagement, bringing folks who are most affected by this on board to hear their solutions to the problems. And then the D is for demanding progress, because you mentioned Capitol Drive. Capitol Drive is a street I live just a block north of in my neighborhood. Capitol Drive is a state highway, Highway 190, as you well know. And it's not fully under the jurisdiction of the city of Milwaukee. It's a state highway. And so the Wisconsin DOT has jurisdiction there as well. So demanding progress means that we have to work with our partners at other levels of government, particularly the state, in order to address the issue.
You have a young family, you have a wife, you have a driver now, so you're not really driving yourself very often. But when your family's on the streets or loved ones are you literally nervous at times because of the state of what's happening on our streets?
I am. And I do have a driver, certainly, but I got 3 kids. I got a full house. And I've got 2 kids who are in car seats right now. So I still drive them around a fair amount, and just drove them around just the other day, as a matter of fact. And yes, I am concerned. I'm concerned for their safety, because you never know what somebody's going to do if they're driving recklessly. And some of the stories that I've heard, not just from my neighbors, but from my own wife, right? I go drop my son up to school in the morning. She typically goes to pick him up in the afternoon, and she generally has our 3-year-old twin daughters, our baby girls in the vehicle too. But she tells me stories about in our own neighborhood when people are driving recklessly and they're zigging and zagging all over the place, and they're playing a game of chicken, driving directly towards her at high rates of speed, and then veering off the last second with my wife and my babies in the car. That is nerve-wracking. And it's not just my wife. I mean, even my longtime mail carrier in the neighborhood, express the same concerns, because they do the same thing to her. So I think that for me, for my family, for my neighbors, everybody's concerned about this issue of reckless driving.
Business leaders I speak with say that crime is the number one issue for them. And these are the same guys that in past years would tell me they're worried about job creation and retaining young talent in our city and things like that. Now on their radar is homicides through the roof, non-fatal shootings spiking once again. If you become full-time mayor, is there a specific plan for trying to get a handle on crime in our city?
Yes, there is. And I also released a comprehensive plan on addressing the crime issue as well. And those business leaders are not wrong. And it's not just, this is the thing that's most interesting, right? This is something that everybody is talking about, that everybody's rallying around. It's not just the business community, but it's also my neighbors on the northwest side of the city where I live. It's also my family and their neighbors who live in the central part of the city on the north side, 53206 where I live. It's also my friends who live on the south side of the city, who are concerned about issues of violence in our city too. And so as mayor, acting mayor, and full-time mayor, I've said, I'm going to work to address the issue of crime and violence in our city. When you look at the thing that I think startles people the most in the city is the number of non-fatal shootings and homicides that we've been having in Milwaukee over the course of the past couple of years. We had record-breaking years in 2020 and 2021. We're on pace to break the record here in 2022, and I think that's totally unacceptable. And neighbors around the city do too. It's going to take some partnership, right, with the state in order to curtail some of the problems that we have here in terms of making sure we have enough police on the force. That's going to take a state partnership in order to curtail the amount of people who have access to guns who shouldn't have them in the first place. That's going to take state partnership as well. I've said I'm going to have a cop in the Capitol working with our colleagues in Madison in order to do those things, and I'm fully committed to doing that.
All right, you've hit on a couple things I really want to dive into. I guess let's start with the Madison relationships. Mayor Barrett had a contentious relationship with Republicans in Madison. I'm not throwing blame anywhere, but it was a difficult relationship. You vowed to work closely with our leaders in Madison in both parties. Have you spoken recently to Speaker Boss or Senate President Capenga? Are you already working on those relationships? When was the last time you spoke to a Republican leader in Madison?
Absolutely. I am in constant communication with Republican leaders on a number of issues. I've been working very closely with Senator Capenga in relations to the city's desire to have additional opportunities to raise the revenue that we need to tackle the issues important to the city, including public safety and our looming pension crisis that will have an impact on public safety and other city service delivery. I did go and meet with Speaker Boss. I think it's all a blur now, so sorry. Maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago in the Capitol, and I will continue to do that with him. I spoke with another Republican legislator recently, and I'm going to continue working with Republicans in Madison. I'm constantly in communication right now as well with members of the Republican Party of Wisconsin as well on the RNC bid. I would love to have the RNC coming right here to Milwaukee, creating an opportunity to have an infusion of economic resources in our community for the people who live in our city, whether they live on the north side or the south side. If they're coming to work at a place downtown, they're seeing the benefit. They're seeing those economic benefits. So I'm in constant communication with Republicans and working to build a really strong relationship with them there. Look, let me just say this. I'm a Democrat. There's no secret to that. But I'm also a political realist, right? I have a great relationship with Governor Tony Evers, and I support Governor Evers, and I support his reelection as well later this fall. But I understand that the legislature is currently and probably for the foreseeable future controlled by Republicans. Like, I'm not going to be somebody who tries to ignore that fact. And my thing is this: if we want to actually see something get done in Milwaukee, then we have to realize that that's what the political reality is on the ground. The key word in progressive is progress. And if we're not working with the folks who are in charge in the legislature, we're not going to get things done. We're not going to move the ball forward. And that's exactly what I want to do for the city, is move things forward.
Acting Mayor Cavalier Johnson with us on WTMJ 2022. Do we need more police officers on the streets in Milwaukee, or do we need less police officers on the streets in Milwaukee?
I'm not going to say that we need less police officers, but this is the thing. And the police will be the first ones to tell you this. And I work very, very closely with them and have for a number of years since I've been on the council, and including now as mayor too. The police say that they can't do this alone. So just simply throwing more police officers at the problem won't solve all the issues that we face. Really, we need to focus on the root cause issues for the issues that we have in our community. The poverty that we have in this community leads then to the violence. The police aren't the ones creating jobs in neighborhoods, family supporting jobs that create stability in people's lives. Right? That's an economic issue. So we need to solve that piece. We also need to make sure that there are earlier interventions in the lives of our young people so they don't commit violent acts or steal cars and the like. We need to make sure that there's mental health services. We need to make sure that there's mentoring. There's so many other things, violence interruption, that we should be focusing on. In terms of police, I supported this matrix study that is underway right now to look and see what is the proper number of police for a city the size of Milwaukee. I want to see what that is. And if it says that, hey, we should have more, then I want to have more. But I also understand that because our financial situation is so constricted due to state law, we only have a couple of opportunities to raise revenue, that I'm going to need the partnership, again, going back to the relationship with Madison. I'm going to need the partnership with Madison in order to make that happen.
I don't want to talk all about crime. I think it's sad that you and I have this opportunity, and so much of the discussion is about crime. I want to move on to a couple other things. Obviously, crime, very important. I appreciate your thoughts on that. The mask mandate, scheduled to expire next month, in a couple of weeks here. Many health officials, including Dr. John Raymond, the guy in charge of the Medical College of Wisconsin, say it is time to lift the mandate. We can do that now. Why wait until March 1st? Do you agree it's time to lift the mandate?
My position on the masking and the COVID generally has been very consistent and very clear. And is that I don't believe that these are political decisions. These are decisions that should be left to the health experts and on COVID-19 and our professionals and our health department. And so that's the lane that I've carved out, and I get my advice solely from them. I'm not making a political decision on it. If Dr. Raymond, if Dr. Weston, if the health commissioner agree that it's time to lift it, then I'm okay with lifting it. I'm okay with doing it.
Is there a balancing act? I understand you're following the science, you're following the medical advice, but you also get recommendations from the business community, and there's a financial component to this. Is there a balancing act between the health part of it and the financial business part of it?
Yeah, there certainly is. And I recognize that having a mask mandate in place in Milwaukee is not all encompassing of Milwaukee County or even the region, right? And I know that some people will make decisions with their patronage of food and beverage establishments here in the city and go elsewhere due to the fact that we have a mask mandate in place. So I know that that's a sensitive issue for business leaders as well. And that's why, again, I wanted to make sure that I'm following the advice of the actual experts on this. But in the mandate that's in place right now, I thought it was very, very important, considering that we're not at the beginning of the pandemic like we were in 2020. We're in a position now where we have made vaccines eligible for people throughout the city, right? And it has been for some time. It's free, they're easy to get, and so that's not an excuse anymore. And over 60% of people in Milwaukee, adults at least 16 years of age or older, have gotten vaccinated. We need to obviously do better than that, and we should continue to do that. We've handed out over 1 million high-quality N95 type masks to people in our community as well. So we're taking the precautionary steps on COVID. With the mask mandate in place right now, we wanted to make sure that it had the fewest financial impacts on business as possible. And so I was active working with the health department to make sure that that was the case, that we basically codified the mask advisory that the health department had put out there way back in, I want to say November. It's just codifying that. But there are no impacts, financial impacts to businesses like there were in the beginning, because I know that that's a sticking point for businesses, and I don't want to see businesses suffer because of the decisions that some individual makes.
So the health commissioner may have one opinion, Dr. John Raymond or Dr. Ben Weston may have another opinion. As a leader, sometimes, you know better than I do. You need to take all that into account and then make a decision. So when on this issue, there's contrasting opinions about the mandate, how do you decide who to follow? How do you decide how to lead?
Yeah, well, I appreciate all the advice, again, from all those folks. And I don't know right now that there's a different opinion between the health commissioner and all the other experts out there. The health commissioner is my commissioner, right? When I became mayor, I asked her to stay on. She was confirmed by the city council, right? And so when I look for advice on this, she is really the one that I'm looking to. So
you talked about the vaccination rate, and in the past you've used the term stubbornly low in the inner city. 63%, I think, is the number I saw that you were referring to earlier. How do we raise that rate? It's kind of like, it seems like we're at a plateau. We kind of are where we are now, but it's not high enough. What do we do to raise that rate?
We keep offering it. We keep offering it. We keep making it available, and we keep spreading the word to folks about the dire position that you could be in if you contract COVID. Look, I'm able to speak pretty well right now, but the fact of the matter is that after I contracted COVID, after 2 years of trying to be safe, wearing masks and distances and all that, the way that it mutated, it finally caught up to me and to my family. And I'm able to speak pretty well right now, but even a month after having recovered from COVID, I still have symptoms where sometimes I can barely even speak, where I have to suppress coughs in order to get through an interview or even talk to my wife or play with my kids. And who knows how long it's going to be. Some folks have said that it could last for 2 months. Some folks have said as long as 6 months. So hopefully it's not as long as 6 months, especially considering that I do this for a living. I generally talk for a living, but letting folks know, again, the dire situation you can be putting yourself in now. I was vaccinated and I was boosted, and so my symptoms when I had COVID were mild, and even this is annoying, but it could have been a lot worse, and it has been a lot worse, especially for people of color in Milwaukee. So we continue to tell those stories. We encourage people to get the vaccination. We keep it available to them. And we find new ways to go into their neighborhoods to do it. The health department has been an outstanding partner with Milwaukee Public Schools, working to make sure that vaccines are available at school buildings, not just for the faculty, the staff, the students, but for the community generally. We do more things like that.
Did your young children get sick?
Yeah, everybody in my family got sick.
How did they do?
Everybody seemed to do better than me. I mean, they don't have any lasting effects or anything like that. But they get sick. My daughters caught fevers. Oliver, my son, he had an issue where he vomited a time or two, but other than that,
They came through it.
They were fine. Yeah.
I want to ask you about downtown development. Architect Matt Rinka has proposed a new 60-story skyscraper. The Couture is going up. Both of those are going to have business space, office space inside of them. My question is, with more and more people working remote, more hybrid situations, Northwestern Mutual's tower now, a lot of those people aren't working in the tower anymore. Do we need to continue to focus on more office space in downtown Milwaukee?
Yeah, we do. Look, people are working remotely now, and I think that's great. And in some respects, I think it'll continue. But I think that many people also yearn to come back to work, yearn to be back in an office space, to be around their colleagues, to be out in a vibrant, bustling, environment, either in the neighborhoods or in downtown. So whether it's the tour, which I championed, and what's the saying? Snatched it from the jaws of defeat when it was going down on the city council and made sure that project moved forward. I'm in support of that. And whether it's this additional, potentially 60-story tower right next door, I'm going to champion that too. And the reason being is that the downtown development, I think, provides an opportunity to create family supporting jobs and opportunities in the trades and elsewhere for people who live in the neighborhoods that I grew up in. Right? You think about the Couture. It's going to be the tallest building in Wisconsin. Okay? Or at least the tallest residential tower in Wisconsin. And 1 million construction hours it will take to build it. 400,000 of those construction hours will go to people who live in the most depressed neighborhoods in the city of Milwaukee, providing an opportunity for them to get into a family supporting career pathway in the trades. That's remarkable. We don't have as much heavy manufacturing as we did back in the day when we had the highest quality of life for African Americans in the United States. But there is another pathway to get there. And I think that the development that we see downtown and in the neighborhoods is a clear pathway to get our folks back to work that way.
So the city has $200 million in America Rescue Act funds. I think that's the number. How should that money be used? What should be the highest priority?
And I think we've seen sort of a blueprint when the spending plan together the first tranche, the first $197.1 million of American Rescue Plan Act funds, and we invested that money in a number of different things. We invested it in housing. We made the largest investment in the city's history in housing, trying to get the inventory of tax foreclosed homes that we have remodeled, redone, and then selling them at full rates to homeowners who will help to stabilize neighborhoods in the city, which I think is critically important. We invested in our lead issue that we have in Milwaukee, particularly around the issue of lead paint, over $20 million, because while the pipes are important and we should take those out of the ground like other communities have in the state, the fact of the matter is that most people, especially kids, contract lead poisoning and have elevated blood lead levels because of the paint and the dust, the things that are in the home. So we made a substantial investment in that. We should continue to make other investments in public safety as well. And we did some of that in the first tranche. We made an investment in violence prevention. We should continue to do efforts like that. We should work to make sure that if there are shovel-ready projects in the ground that can help with getting young people out of trouble and engaged in community programming, that we do that. We should work to make sure that we're supporting businesses too that have suffered the brunt of the pandemic, especially our hospitality businesses, our bars, our restaurants, places like that.
I want to end our time with a lighter question. So I'm going to get you a babysitter on a Saturday night. You and your bride can have a dinner party with 3 people, living or dead, famous or not famous. Take me inside your mind. You have the dinner party. We'll take care of the food and getting the kids out of the house. What 3 people are you inviting to have dinner with the 2 of you?
Oh, that's a hard question, actually. Because
yeah, these aren't softballs, Mr. Mayor.
yeah, man, geez, 3 people. I'm trying to think of 3 people that my wife and I would like to sit down with. See, that's the thing. For my wife, her grandmother, she just told me today, had some health issues, and her husband, my wife's grandfather, just passed in August last year. So I'm sure she'd like to sit down with Grandpa Donnie. And for the other 2, I think I'd like to sit down with Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King, and as a living person, I guess for fun, I would say Vince McMahon.
Wow, that's going to be a great dinner party. That is fun. He is acting Mayor Cavalier Johnson. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for spending some time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.